we're paying extra on our mortgages. And after taking your course, we realized for us, it actually financially didn't make sense. And we couldn't believe how crazy that was for us not to be doing that because it was just ingrained in us. We were also unsure if we were going to retire by 50. And that really gave Joe a lot of anxiety. And Budget Dog sealed the deal, like he can retire in 7 years. And, I have 12 to go, actually, 11 now to go. And we feel really good about that we're not going to have to work past
Love
50.
it.
We were unsure if daycare costs were going to change our lifestyle because we had just gotten a baby, had a baby, and that was like $3,000 that we're
Sure.
putting towards. And Budget Dog made it. It's weird. It just made it happen, and we paying that much money, and our lifestyle hasn't changed. I and we also picked, in regards to our deferred comp, we had just picked random, stock, and we didn't know about fees or returns. As crazy, it's all those things that we afterward we're like, I can't believe this is so crazy. And yeah, and afterwards, we looked at the fees and we picked what was like charged us less fees, had the most return. And yeah, and like I posted recently on the platform, it's doing very, very well for us. A hundred
Mhm.
thousand dollar return in less than 6 months.
Wow.
And that's all, again, just because you guys guided us in, and I can't imagine how much more money we're gonna get in
That's 6 months.
6 months. I
That's
know.
crazy because I
So
mean,
crazy.
do it for 6 years or 10 years. And like, that's where it gets nuts. But like
Yeah,
that's wild.
I know. We couldn't believe it. We're like, that's incredible. And then one of the biggest things that was giving us so much anxiety, and we're savers. We're, like I said, we're debt free. But we're savers, but almost to a detriment. We were
Yep.
saving for like 20 different things, and it was like $100 here, $200 there. And Budget Dog really forced us, like, no, pick your like top two, three max, and that's really pushing it.
Yep.
And focus on those sinking funds, right? Whatever it is that we needed. And oh man, it just took away the stress, and it actually made it happen. It made what we wanted happen and faster. So that was like a huge, huge, huge win for us. And then we always had monthly meetings, but now they actually have a purpose, and it's less stressful for Joe because he would just kind of, we would have all this extra money at the end, and he was just like, well, what do you want to do with it? And we were just kind of guessing, like, a
Yep.
little bit here, a little bit there. And he went with it, but it was a very pointless meeting, right? I mean, we now realize that it was but it was great. We were talking and we knew it was there, but now
Sure.
they have a real purpose, and we have a clear direction. And then again, it took away the stress for Joe because he's the accountant of the house, so that really was a huge, huge thing for me. And then we also saved for things, right? Like I mentioned, we were saving for things, but we really never gave it any thought as to, is this a want? Is this frivolous spending, right? Is it a need? Because we don't have debt, right? So we were able to do that. And because
Sure.
of that, we didn't give that any thought anymore. We're just like,
Mhm.
we want this, we'll save for it. But we've coined the phrase, is this Budget Dog approved, right? Like basically meaning, like, is this really something practical, and should we have it, right? Like, and
Yeah.
so we're always asking, like, well, is this Budget Dog approved? And then we go from there, and if the answer is no, we discuss why it's not. And if the answer is
I hope I'm not
yes,
taking away from you guys.
yeah, I know, right? I know, please. And and then if it's yes, we have to build the case on why it's necessary, right? And here's a great example. We back to the baby. We had, my husband had a 14-year-old car. My car is like 5, 6 years old. And so again, even with cars, we're very modest people. We don't but we needed a new car, and there were small cars. So we were like, okay, we really want to get a Chevy Tahoe. And that was like a $90,000 car. And yes, we could afford it. We're saving towards it. But again, back to after this course, we asked ourselves, is this Budget Dog approved though? Like, is that like something that is really practical? And at the end of the day, we realized it's not. The answer was no. Like,
Mhm.
it's not a practical car for us. So we ended up getting a Honda Odyssey
Love
van,
it. That's
and which is
that's a
forty
nice
seven
van.
thousand.
My sister-in-law has that.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
Um, and mind you, we got all the bells and whistles, we got the elite, so we got the top one. And so that was a good happy medium compromise, right? We didn't get the Tahoe, but we also, man, saved over $50,000, and that's realistic. And that was, that made sense, and we're really happy with that.
I love to hear that, guys. I mean, this is absolutely phenomenal what you guys have done. What was the biggest, I guess, like mindset shift that you guys have had over the last 6 months? Like, what was that like initial trigger that was like, man, the budget dog approve obviously thing, but like, what was that thing that got you from like where you were making a ton of money, didn't really know where to go to like, let's get this locked in?
Well, yeah, that was my personal biggest question going in is we're lucky to have good income and income that's going to increase um, as the years go on. So the question was, okay, what do we do with the extra money ultimately?
Hmm.
And I really didn't know. And it sounds, silly, but the biggest thing I think for us, at least my takeaway was that for us, even though we had conversations, it gave us Budget Dog gave us a common sheet of music to sing from. So we both had an understanding. So when I said, you know, a percentage or something, she understood it. So
Sure.
we were both speaking the same language, so that she contributes equal and above what I can contribute in the same way. So that was beneficial. And I think too, once we got through, and one thing that I put together was just a financial plan, like a roadmap for
Mhm.
us, with percentage with exact dollar amounts, returns. So it's on a Word document, so we can both see it. That says,
Yep.
okay, this is how much money this is our budget. This is how much we're projected to make in retirement. This is how much we're projected to have in our deferred, our extra money all the way to the end.
Yep.
And so that's something that for the both of us, once we got there, we could put the rest of everything into context, but we know that the future was taken care of because we started this course with a 3-month-old baby
Mhm.
and me just on the cusp of starting a new assignment at work. So we had a lot of changes and flux and challenges as far as time was concerned and
Sure.
questions we wanted answered. But I think once we got that clear picture to the end that we will revisit every 6 months and rerun the numbers, and it's a conversation, not chiseled into stone, but at least it gives her and I the plan to move forward. And that has sprinkled off and made the other lessons of Budget Dog really stick with the trust and the insurance and all the other things that we've done subsequent to that to reinforce that plan.
Yeah.
That That's phenomenal. I mean, like obviously the 100,000 in 6 months is that's insane. But we also see that a decent amount. So thinking about that, kind of like I think the biggest worry for most people is not knowing. And so like it's not that you're gonna be a millionaire tomorrow, you're gonna be a millionaire in 6 months. It's that you have the clarity of the vision of exactly where you're headed and you know when you'll get there. And there's no guessing. It's just like knowing the answer before like you get the test. And so it's always a good feeling when you just know you can go into that test and you're prepared and you're ready to go. And that's where you guys are at. It's an incredible testimony from what you guys have shared so far. I'm sure in the beginning though, like there was an ounce of like nervousness or is this the right program or how do I trust this guy on the internet type stuff. Like give me your brutal feedback of like where you guys were from a mental standpoint there.
So I found you on. I'm very grateful. My husband just kind of like if I come up with an idea, he just goes with it. He doesn't even question. He's not on social media, so I
Yeah.
said I found this guy on social media. He doesn't even question it. He's like, if this is what you want to do, we'll do it, right? But the reason you sold me because I've been kind of seeing you, but there was like I don't remember exactly what post, but you talked shit about Dave Ramsey. You said something about the line along the lines of like kind of like not I'm not quoting you, but something along the lines of like fuck Dave Ramsey, like what he's saying is basically old material and like and I respected that because I was like, man, finally, right? Finally someone is going up against like the master and has the go,
The
the
balls
balls
to
to
do
say it. Yeah,
it.
the
Yeah.
balls to say it. And so I was like, I'm sold. Like that was it. That's all it took. It was that one post. It wasn't, yeah, like the content was good because and Joe had made it a point before. He goes, we were already financially, we were debt free. We're like, so there was nothing that I was quote unquote needing, right? We felt like we
Sure.
got things. But when you said that in that post, really just got to me, and I said, okay, this guy has more to offer. He's very confident about what he's selling. And more than anything, you came off very genuine. Like, I'm not trying to take from your pocket. If anything, I'm trying to
Sure.
give. Like,
Yep.
you came off very much like a public servant. Like, you're just, I want to share this knowledge, and you had this passion, and yeah,
Yep.
that's what sold me.
Love to hear, guys. And that's the truth. Like, it really, like everything you just said. Like, Dave Ramsey almost tried to hire me. He actually interviewed me twice. He was going to interview me a third time to come down to Franklin, Tennessee, be one of his personalities in the show. And I was like, it's a cool idea, but I was like, there's just so much more like than you guys teach. Like, I hate to say it, but there just is so much more. And so I went the opposite direction, created my own thing because I believe I believe full heartedly in everything we do because not only the results it got us results internally, but then I shared with friends and family, they got results. Then
Mhm.
students, they got results. And obviously, all the way to you guys, like the results are crazy. And it's the fundamentals of finance, but it's maximizing the fundamentals of finance. And you're a living testimony of exactly that roadmap. And it's really cool to see. What would you tell somebody that's trying to get to where you're at? They might be you guys 6 months ago or even well before, and they're just trying to figure this out and they don't know what to do. They're worried, nervous. What would you tell those people?
Yeah.
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, I'd say the same thing because what pushed me over the edge is she showed me the social media stuff, which I don't have. I saw some more, and it seemed very practical. It wasn't like,
Mhm.
hey, everyone's gonna be a millionaire in a week on this 10 tips or something,
Yeah.
which is much more realistic, I think, for regular people.
Yep.
And I'd say to other people, like, I was pretty knowledgeable on a lot of things, but not knowledgeable all the way, which can be a barrier. And I think that if you have the money, it's worth the time to invest because on the other side for you specifically, the immediate returns just going through our budget were substantial.
Hmm.
Just to read, go through the budget and get everything set up. And so, and kind of with our peer groups, I suppose we're in a situation where we need to spend money to make money. It makes more sense. Not everything is, a sacrifice. So we need professional assistants. We need, accountants and lawyers and things to help us out. That does net a return. And I think
Yes.
that's a mindset shift coming from just being working class, falling on a budget, doing everything yourself, to seeing your economic status rise, and you're like, you need help.
Yep.
And so that's the way I saw it. Like, okay, let me put, you're likable. Let's put our faith in this, and it's money, and hopefully we'll see. I don't, see how it goes. And I'd say that for me, just convincing people that you're putting money in yourself, building a skill set, and I can say definitively because I didn't want to be too excited at the first part of this to tell people about it. But I can say definitively going through that, I have the knowledge and confidence not just for her and for me because we did it together, which I'd absolutely recommend for married
Hmm.
couples, serious couples, to do it, in lockstep. But also that for our child and our second child,
Mhm.
which will be coming, like this is a hand me down that we can give them this sort of knowledge that's going to benefit our family forever.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I think that people in our peer group have the money, not the knowledge, um, and because they've probably been like us, transition from working and being poor to a better quality of life, and they all have families, and so I think if they can see, yeah, you can educate yourself to educate them, and live with confidence, would be really, I think for me.
And then this is where your book is really, I'm glad you created it, going to a great cause, but it's helped us pass the word without just verbal, like, hey, go to his,
Yes.
Instagram, which just sounds a little, like just cheesy, but now it's
Yep.
like, read this book. If you believe in it, if you actually take the time to read it and then you believe in it, we'll talk. And so then you could see who's serious or not. So the book is a blessing in so many ways.
That's
And then
awesome.
yeah, I forgot that post that sold him even more was the one, I can make you a millionaire in 10 years. And
Yep.
he really liked that because he's like, that's realistic. And
Yep.
I love that about you because you're not selling, like you said, a week. And he's like, and he read the steps and he's like, okay, yeah, no, that's practical. So that, yeah, that post was powerful. The last, and then the other win that I really wanted to thank Budget Dogs for is we had Whole Life, and we got, like, I can't believe we got rid of it. Like, it really, and it saved us hundreds of dollars. But
Yeah.
I thank you for educating us on that, and yeah, so I want to say thank you for that money back in our pocket. And at the end, my last financial win that I wanted to say because of Budget Dog and is we got hit with a $9,000 auto bill, mechanical bill for my car, and it was just such a great feeling to be able to pay that, like, no
Yes.
problem. And yeah, like, we're in a really good place, and everything it's just, yeah, we're good. Like, we're stress free now. Like, my poor husband
love
over
it.
here I mean, you have no idea, like, just the stress alone that you've taken away from my husband. I never was stressing. I just showed up, right? Like, my check was deposited and I did my part, but he really worried about it. So I am grateful for that. I think you've given him years back in his life.
That's
because
amazing to
of
hear.
course.
That's
So
so cool to hear, guys.
those are my closing thoughts.
Yeah, a couple. As far as the team, I just want to give a special tip of the hat and shout out to Tom. He was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Whatever he is compensated, he's earned every penny.
Mhm.
He's I couldn't say enough about
Mhm.
him in particular
Amazing.
positively. You think as far as the course and the access to the coaching when we need it was first rate all the way.
Amazing.
And I had one more thing, but I forgot. Yes. Oh yeah, it's if you do, I mean, because I'm not on social media, so I'm less, but at work I have interaction with people, and I've talked to a few people, but they're all cheap asses, and so it's tough to try to push them over the edge. It wouldn't
Yep.
pay, $10 to make $1,000, but at the same
Sure.
point, as or if you get anything or to help not sell, but to entice people to come in, I'm always willing. I want to get people to join up to get the benefit that me and my wife got, because I think one time too, like kind of like in a weird way in our profession, and when I'm 43, I'm kind of old in the profession because we can retire by 50, 55,
Yep.
60 years old, everyone's gone. You're not really working. So there's kind of a thought that, well, maybe that horizon for financial investment and stuff is past, even if you're in your. But one thing from this course, she was like, oh no, like even when I'm retired, I'm still going to be investing. I'm still going to be using all these things
Yep.
until into my 70s, 80s, etc. But I think that's one mind shift at work. But the only thing, yeah, if you guys get anything, my wife and I will keep up that to help me
Incredible,
entice
guys.
people to work, then I'm on board.
Well, thank you, Brendan. This has been a
Yeah.
great
No, thank you.
ride.